what's going on, y'all? Welcome into Cardinalytics and Arizona Cardinals podcast, hosted by fans for the fans here on September 26th, a few days removed from the Cardinals' defeat versus the Detroit Lions. We'll get into it as well as previewing the return of Cliff Kingsbury to the desert. As you see, hashtag Cliff Homecoming. That is nasty work from my co-host right there. But we will get into it. You already know it's Corey underscore cards here. Here are my two co-hosts, Jake, Shaw. How you boys feeling today?
Feeling good. Good.
Feeling all right, man.
So,
All right, I'm
go
say
ahead.
all right, flush that game out my memory.
Okay. How about you, Jake? How you feeling about that previous game that just went down?
Yeah, tough one to swallow.
Mhm.
I really do feel like we kind of got jobbed on a call again. Cliff even mentioned in his presser today that we're like 2 plays away from being undefeated. So yeah, tough one to swallow. Think we played all right. Really pleased to see how the defense has been playing, but yeah, the
Mhm.
offense was just kind of bang your head against the wall type of day. So
Mhm.
yeah, agree with Shad. Ready to flush that one.
For sure. Well, let's get straight into it so we can get that out of our membranes here. Surprisingly, Cliff, maybe you do know football a little bit because we are 2 plays away from being undefeated. So it's good to see that you kind of do understand that. But back to this Lions game here. So again, another game. Cardinals do take the L at home. We kind of mentioned it, like these are the type of games that you kind of want to win to gain your crowd back. I know we mentioned it before the game. As great as that crowd was for the Rams game, it kind of took a complete 180. And again, we all are here as car fans of as our fans of the team that do not live in Arizona can attest to, like fans up north, fans from other teams, stuff like that. They choose Arizona as a destination game for themselves. So to me personally, it wasn't surprising to see that many Lions fans there. I'm pretty sure they probably bought those tickets in May or June as soon as the schedule was released. So honestly, not surprising, not really upsetting to me. You got to win games like that to get home field advantage back because as we know, 2015 Bird Gang days, the crowd was rocking at every second of the stuff. So unfortunate, but I'm not really tripping about it. But into the game in general, obviously started off. Lions came out strong, Cardinals came out strong, and then it kind of hit a dead spot for both teams at that point. Couple field goals here and there for each team, and then obviously the end of the first half. Jake just mentioned it, the pick six that wasn't just a lot of bang ifs and bangs here and there, and then you get into the second half and defensively, we know as our defense has been criminally sold as one of the worst units of the league. So far, the last 2 weeks, they played ball, especially in the second half of this Lions game. They shut out the Lions. They did not allow them to score another possession. Lions did go for it on fourth down a couple times, didn't get it. So maybe that could have led to points for them if they would have took that three. But at the same time, this Cardinals defense played lights out in that second half. But like Jake just mentioned, just a frustrating banging your head on the wall type of day for offensively. You had guys sometimes not getting open, guys, dropping the balls at some points. And then you also had Collie being inaccurate, not being the quarterback that he was the previous week, which is a huge knock on him in terms of consistency. But I thought he played okay enough, just missed a few throws here and there. And then as Jake will mention probably that big pick six or that big pick that he had in the third quarter just kind of killed most of the momentum that we would have had in the game. So overall, to me, I personally gave the team a C plus, B minus in that game. I thought defensively you looked amazing. Just offensively, you got to find stuff that works when the run game isn't working. Like again, the run game may not work, and I love that they tried to stick to it, but at the same time, you got to develop other ways to move the ball down the field that doesn't just base off the run game, which is my biggest testament. And so far, Drew Petzing, I got to be able to see you put stuff together before you're able to, in my eyes, be considered as a head coach candidate in full. So does a lot of good things, but consistency has to be a main key for him going forward. So personally, that's my own takeaway from the game. I wasn't too mad at it. I understand the Lions are one of the best teams in NFC, not in the NFL in total. So having that result versus them, a 7-point loss at home when you had plenty of chances to take the lead and win the game, not too mad at it personally. So we'll see how my co-hosts are feeling about that game. Anything they want to spotlight, Jake? I guess we can start with you. Personally, just any takeaways you have from the game. And like I said, I know you just talked about that pick six that wasn't. So I think we were all kind of confused on why that wasn't one. But talk to me.
Yeah, I'll jump in. Yeah, just some key takeaways. I feel like the defense still continues to get just like talked down, and I've been impressed with the defense this year. Like, we shut out the Lions in the second half. Obviously, there was that tough score by the Lions to end the half, but kind of coming off some unfortunate luck there with like you said, the pick six that wasn't to be. Just kind of caught us like on the backs of our heels there. So yeah, pretty upsetting there, but I'm super encouraged by the defense. I feel like they do have the ability to keep us in games, and once that offense gets right, I feel like sky's the limit. Kind of as Kyler's been saying, but yeah, I mean it's tough to see. Like, Marv had that great touchdown catch, but still we're seeing like some miscues between Kyler and Marv. A little bit of a hangover from not playing in the preseason. So I'd like to see them like really start to kind of dial that in and just sort of figure it out. I'd like to see Marv too a little bit better as far as contested catches. I feel like he's like maybe like 1 for like 10, kind of like as far as I've seen. The one being the one that he caught in the back of the end zone against the Rams, which was great. But it seems like those balls where it's kind of like go up and make a play, like he's like not turning around quick enough.
Mm-hmm.
Seen him have like honestly a handful of drops at this point. Like, there was that one great ball by Kyler. I think it was against Branch, maybe. It might have been Arnold. It was one of those two. It was like it would have been like a yard or two short of the end zone. Kyler put it right on him and like hit Marv in the two hands and wasn't able to come down with it. So I'd like to see a little bit more like sure hands out of him. But outside of that, like, yeah, I feel like it was kind of a fluky offensive game, and we should see a nice rebound this week against pretty shitty, Commanders D.
Mm-hmm. So talk to me. I know you said you're trying to flush it, but just to recap for ourselves, how'd you feel about that game that you just watched previously for the Cards?
It was frustrating. It was definitely frustrating. I felt like going into the game, like, I wasn't worried about our offense, and first drive, like, if it wasn't for um like, a couple drops by Marv, like we would have scored. Like, that first pass that he threw to Marv, like that was gonna be a touchdown. We scored anyways, which was cool. But I kind of share Jake's sentiments when it comes to like, man, Marv, like that was supposed to be his kind of calling card, like those contested catches, and it's like that's why he's there for Kyler to
Mm-hmm.
bail him out. Like, on some of those back shoulder passes, I think there was a pass down the sideline too, where it just
Mm-hmm.
kind of went off his chest, and it's like you got to make those. Like, if you're supposed to be this like pro ready guy, this like generational guy, like you got to make those. And it's just a lot of the easy stuff that he's missing. Also, that's been
Mm-hmm.
frustrating. Um, but I don't know. Like I guess I feel like with time, like he'll get better. But I don't know. I just kind of expected, if anything, like he'll be able to come out the gate and make those contested catches for us.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been frustrating to watch early on. But like, as far as the offense, I didn't expect the offense to be a problem. I expected the defense to be a problem. And I mean, the defense pitched a shutout in the second half. So
Mm-hmm.
like
Surprising.
we surprising, yeah. And if it wasn't for a couple unfortunate plays or one unfortunate play when it comes to the refs blowing the play dead, we probably only give. I think that's 13 points.
Mm-hmm.
They only scored 20 points in the game.
Yep.
So defense played amazing. Like, I don't know where that defense has been, but defense played amazing. But this is also the second time that Drew Petzing's offense, and whether it's Kyler being off or whatever, I mean, it was some questionable calls, some questionable decisions. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like made by the coaching staff. Like, why is DeMercado in there on a second and short, a third and short?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then also, another questionable call, which y'all wanted them to take the three. I was fine with them going
Mm-hmm.
for it on fourth down after that turnover in the third quarter.
Mm-hmm.
But this is twice that Drew Petzing's offense has just failed to show up in the second half.
Yep.
Against good teams. Like,
Yep.
the Rams game, like I know the Rams were in a goodie with the Niners. They won. Shout out to them for that. But the Rams are not a good team.
Mm-hmm.
Against two good teams, two playoff teams, two teams that are probably going to be competing for their conference championships. They have not shown up in the second half, and I feel like that needs to change.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and to me, I feel like going into this game against the Commanders, like, it's not. It should be a game that we should be able to win pretty easily. Like the Commanders aren't a good football team. They're Jaden Daniels, and that's it. Um, so I feel like we should be able to win that. So to me, that's not really the test, right? The test is, and I don't want to look forward, but the test is San Francisco. Okay, like what do we do against them in the second half? Like I expect this team to beat Washington.
Mhm.
So I'm not really taking too much from that when it comes to the offense out of this game.
Mhm.
So I won't have the answer, or I won't know if Drew Petzing has kind of fixed some of that until
Yeah.
until San Fran.
Yeah, like you said, it's disappointing to see how the offense came out. Like you said, it doesn't come down to Kyler making certain decisions. Does it come down to play calling? As you mentioned, at 4th and 1, I was a fan of getting points. I just feel like JG, he kind of has to understand the ebbs and flows of the game. Like he did a great job of that, in my opinion, last year. In certain games, just understanding the ebbs and flows, when to go for it, when to not go for it, when to challenge, when not to challenge. So he understands it. But a certain game like that, when you see your defense continuously getting stops, continuously being in the game, you have to just keep your team in the football game. Keeping your team in the football game means everything, especially when it's coming down to it. So, like, you take your field goal there, fine. I'm not like, when you talk about analytics and stuff like that, going for 4th and 1, I get it. It makes sense. But like you said, like, and it was also a decent play call, except for the fact that the Lions were contesting most of our outside runs the entirety of the game. There was rarely any outside run that got influence like that. And again, Kyler didn't hold the fake long enough. You can tell he kind of was rushing to hurry up and get it done. But so that's going to be the purpose of it. You have a 230-pound running back. You can cram it up the middle for 1 yard. If you feel like your team can't get 1 yard, then
Yeah,
without being tricky with a rollout, then that's kind of like not a good sign, in my opinion. So
yeah,
again, learning lessons here and there every time, but at the same time, it's like games like those, when you're in them, you have a chance to be in them. You got to stay in them, and staying in them is so important, because that's literally playoff football, is staying in games. If you stay in games, you have a chance to win it every moment. And still, even with this team, had a chance to win it if their defense would have been able to get one more stop, but you were begging too much to ask them to get one more stop at the
they
end of that game, and they had done
yeah,
enough at that point, in my opinion. So
yeah.
offensively, I'm glad Kyle mentioned that they kind of let the defense down in this game, and they need to have a solid showing this weekend. As we mentioned, the Commanders' defense is not that great, so I would love to see a solid showing from the offense. However, that looks, as we know,
Mm,
possibly missing Trey McBride for the week. So, how can your offense look with him not in the lineup? Like, you have two good enough tight ends. You drafted a tight end in the 3rd round, so you should want to see them be able to be used and be effective. So, but in terms of the Lions game, I agree with you both. Like, learning lessons, but at the same time, you want to see growth. You don't want to see choppiness, because we saw choppiness at the end of last year. We want to see consistent growth and consistency going forward. And Drew Petzing, again, a lot of questions. To me, in my opinion, Nick Riley looks like the coordinator that's more ready, to take on stuff. And again, the entirety of the NFL is defenses are looking better than offenses right now. So offenses are needing to adjust, but neither here nor there. I think Nick Ross is still looking great. And I think Drew Petzing has a lot to work on his plate. So overall, I wasn't too mad at the game, like I said, but Drew Petzing and Kyler just have to be consistently better, as we know. And we expect them to be consistently better, especially this week coming up. So any other takeaways from the games, from the past game, fellas, before we get into the next one?
Yeah, something
yeah.
to
Oh, go ahead.
no, get
Yeah,
you're
go
good,
ahead.
Shot. Go ahead.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. No, I was just gonna say, like, Kyler. Obviously, this was Kyler's worst game of the season, like early on. But
Mm-hmm.
the thing that's good about this team, like right now, is that I feel like every time, like, we come from a game and we're like, okay, yeah, like, we didn't do this right, we didn't do that right. Like, we have an answer going into the next game. We know what needs to be done to fix it, right? So, like, I'm not overly worried that, like this is a long-term issue, because we know, like, hey, like, okay, Kyler needs to be better with protecting the ball, you know what I'm saying? Not throwing the ball, like the turnover that he threw in the end zone. Like, you got to be better with protecting the ball. Drew Petzing, you got to call better plays. Like, you got to learn how to adjust it. All this stuff is fixable. All this stuff
Mm-hmm.
is correctable. So, and this coaching staff has shown that they can do that. They can go
Mm-hmm.
from, okay, having a bad week, like the first week, or I guess the second week, we went to spamming James Conner, right? Like,
Mhm.
and James Conner had a good game. We went away from that this week. I know Detroit was stopping the run early, but like we still went away from that when it was a one possession, two possession game.
Mhm.
Um, so I just think that everything's correctable, everything's fixable. And I don't want to think about it too much more than that.
Mhm. Go ahead, Jake.
Yeah, I think like kind of like building off what Shad was saying too. I feel like there was some instances where we definitely should have just taken the points as far as like rolling out the trusty leg and Matt Prater, where we kind of went for it. And what I was gonna say is on that crucial 4th and 1 where Kyler rolled out and kind of got chased down to the sideline. If you watch that back, like you guys are gonna vomit because I just happened to be watching it today, and he had Michael Wilson like
Yeah, it slipped
wide,
out, right?
bro.
Yeah, I think I think what you're talking about.
Like,
Mhm.
like I'm talking like any of the three of us are hitting that pass 100 times out of 100. It was like
Mhm.
10 yards past the line of scrimmage, like wide open, bro. And he like looked at it and just I don't know why he didn't take it. It was like
Mhm.
I couldn't for the life of me figure it out because it wasn't like it like quickly got swallowed up. Like he was open the whole time.
Mhm.
Even at the last second, Kyler could have just dumped it to him. That was painful because I'm telling you, like it was wide open, and Mike obviously had a day. So, yeah, that was like the worst play from Kyler I've seen in a long time because that was totally there, and just like not being able to get that corner is just like it's not the Kyler we know. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's like that's like something you see out of like Russ. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? It's just kind of disappointing
Yeah.
for him to not make the corner there, and then additionally just to not hit Mike Wilson on like a super easy 10-yard at least. He could have even turned it upfield and taken it. Like
Mhm.
I don't know. So that was tough, but yeah, that was pretty much like the last detail I had from that game.
And on that play, I think even so, like they ran that play to the short side of the field, so he ran out of space to be able to
Right.
To
like
make the
get
play.
somewhere. Like
Yeah.
you do that to the wide side of the field, so you're able to use as much field space as possible to be able to just get that 1 yard. So
I would have liked to see him honestly just like pull Lamar and just like stop on a dime and just like cut it upfield because
mhm.
you knew like the whole time. I think it was Branch it was like running with him, dude, like step for step. You're like, dude, he's
Mhm.
not, as you said, he's running out of real estate. Like, I don't know, you got to try something there. And unfortunately, committed to it. And I knew too, like when they were reviewing it, I was like, I hope
Yeah.
they give us the call because they called it on the field and like they really do owe us here. But obviously, it's the Cardinals. They reversed it. The funny thing is too, I was watching today, like I was just kind of like flipping around on YouTube, and there was like this like couple from Detroit that like makes vlogs for the Lions and like flew out for the game, and they were even saying like in the stadium during the game, they're like, yeah, like that's a pick six. They were like, oh my god, like we just got a gift that there was clearly still time in the clock, and their fan base is saying it. That's when you know it's bad.
Look, anytime, any other time in the game when like the clock is winding down, like the ref lets the play go off. Like if the play clock's winding down, or if like the clock's winding down for the end of the quarter, they let the play go
Mhm.
off. But because it's a 2 minute warning, they just assume that teams are just not going to snap the ball.
Right.
But
Mhm.
that clearly wasn't the case. I mean, they
And
clearly snapped the
yeah,
ball before.
and the crazy
Detroit was playing the play out. Like Goff was going to get sacked, and he clearly like
exactly.
if they weren't planning on running a play there, he would have just spiked the ball immediately to say
Mhm.
like it's a dead play. But he
Mhm.
took 2 hits and he threw a pick. Like
Mhm.
it was just that was an absolute rob. Like we really
Yeah.
should be
And
in a
then
totally different game. We went on to shut him out in the second half. We would have been up by a point. It's just like
yeah,
it's crazy, bro. That was honestly a travesty. Like
yeah.
that was worse than the Bills, in my opinion. The sack, and even like the no call PI at the end. Like I think that this Lions one was way worse.
Mhm.
That no
And I,
that no PI was bad. I'm not gonna lie.
It was bad, bro. But like you got to think like that was a pick.
This was
six,
points. Yeah, this was points. This was points.
huge play, man. Like
Yeah.
mhm.
everyone played it out as if it was a real play, and then the Lions were like, "Oh no, that was a dead ball." It's like, dude,
Mhm.
Jared Goff just took like 2 licks. Like he was trying to get the ball out, dude.
Right.
So
And then on top of it, what they said at the end was like talking about the side judge is the one that tells us when that play ends and stuff like that. But to me, I didn't see an official step in until after like you said, after the ball flirted in the air. There wasn't an official that stepped into the play. Typically, you're blowing a play that you're stepping into the play. Somebody's getting into action. Nobody stepped into the action until after he got hit, which means there was a whole second and a half, 2 seconds that went on. Like to me, I just that never really made any sense. I just don't understand how you stop a play after a play is going and then say it's 2-minute warning. Like
No,
let us have that. Let us have. You see a ton of plays that end. You see a bunch of plays where the 2-minute warning is technically like 1:57,
right.
something like that, because the play had already snapped. You look on the thing. I was told that the game clock, in terms of what we see on TV, is synced with the clock in the stadium. If it says 2:01 and the ball is between his nuts, it's a snap already. Like I just don't understand where that came from, who stopped that, because we know down the line in the future it wouldn't be like that for us in any game, like
And
any
even
game.
if it says 2 on the clock and the ball is in the process of being snapped,
Mhm.
they're still
The,
supposed to
the
let it go
the
off.
play is hyped. The play is gone. Like
The play
it's
is
over.
gone.
Like
Yeah.
so again, NFL officiating. That's two. It's 2 out of 6 out of 17 games.
Right.
You got us. You got us for 2 out of 17, and literally 2 plays that could have changed this team's outlook to possibly being undefeated right now. So, very, very, very questionable call. Very interesting game overall. But we'll bounce back. Obviously, got Commanders this week. The biggest thing for this week, obviously, that we talked about, it's going to be talked about all week long, is Cliff Kingsbury's return to Arizona. Here on this podcast, if you joined us last year, you know my feelings about Cliff Kingsbury. If you heard from anything about me on my timeline, I'm not quite the fan. My two co-hosts are somewhat of a fan. One's definitely a fan. One's somewhat
Yes,
of a
sir.
fan, and I'm on the complete bottom spectrum of all of that. So, it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. The one thing I did want to say about this game coming up was that obviously you want to see offense get back on track. You don't want to let Jaden Daniels get out too much. He's going to make his plays here and there, but you don't want him to make too many plays like Josh Allen did to where they hurt you. And on top of that, I truly hope this week that I know it was crazy to hear some. I mentioned to my friends, they told me I don't know what I'm talking about, but at the same time, I truly, truly hope that I want to see Kyler Murray in defensive meetings because I want to see what type of player he is in terms of the quote unquote studying, the quote unquote watching film, and all of that. Because if you go on there, you watch film of Jaden Daniels and or the entire Commanders offense based off of Cliff Kingsbury, obviously he's developed, but at the same time, there's probably a lot of the similar stuff that happens. I want to see if you can tell defense, this is a tell right here. When he's doing this, this is what they're running. When he gives them this sign, this is what he's running. When he looks at them this way, this is what he's running. Because that'll help out tremendously in terms of shutting them down. And I really hope that Kyler takes that mantle of, all right, I'm gonna help defense out this week. I'm gonna obviously do my thing, but I can help defense out this week by just giving them any insight possible, because that's what a leader would do for his football team, right? So that's one of the biggest things I want to see this week is that how prepared will defense be, and obviously, it's a crazy statement kind of to make, but I also want. I'm not saying I want them to get out to a lead on us, but I want to see how this team it works without being behind. Like we've now gone through 2 games of this year where one game we were up and we stayed up, and then one game we were up and lost the lead, and in this game we were down and just couldn't regain the lead. So I want to see us be able to galvanize the troops, and obviously a blowout win, up the entire game. I'm cool with that too. But if you do go down, say you go down maybe 7 double digits, something like that, how can you respond versus a team that and on paper you're better than? On paper, people projected you to be better than them. So I want to see how this team is able to respond, obviously after week. And again, this is not a third straight home game. Let's go 2-1 at home to start the season. Like let's get that out the way. So you're off to a good start at home, and you got a couple more home games at State Farm Stadium that are more favorable for you as the season goes on. So let's go 2-1 to start the season at home and get the guys together. So talk to me about this week, fellas. How you feeling? Cliff is back. Um, you know, it'll be fun, I guess. I don't even
You
know.
I was about to say you brought up a good point about Kyler. Like I guarantee you he's probably like texting JG all
Mhm.
types of shit about like Cliff and like you said, like tails and stuff like that. I don't know if he's probably gonna be in the defensive meeting, but that's actually a good press conference question to ask him after the game. Like
Mhm.
that, like, hey, how much involvement was Kyler in the game plan when it came defensively? Um, I feel like though defensively, Jaden, I know Jaden from watching him at LSU. And Jaden still watching him in the NFL he's a guy that he's not going to take a lot of risks. Like he's going to take his shots down the field, but he's not going to take a lot of risks. And when he tucks in and run, he's running. So I mean, they just need to watch that. I don't know if we're going to be like, I don't know if we're going to end up with a lot of interceptions this week, but definitely how they rush the passer against Josh Allen, that's a no-go. That's a no-go. They got to be able to contain the gaps and make sure that he does not get out the pocket, because he will get out the pocket, and he's way quicker than Josh Allen. Way quicker than Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jake.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about the game. I obviously watched Cliff's presser today, and yeah, I'll be the first to say, like, if Petzing does go and get a head coaching gig, I really wouldn't be opposed to bringing Kliff back as strictly the OC under Gannon. Yeah, Corey, I know you're probably feeling some type of way about that.
Look, I wouldn't be opposed to it, but I just know that's not happening. I don't think he's coming back to Arizona in any form or fashion. But I still love him though. But I just think that they wouldn't.
I'm telling you, I got a little emotional watching that presser today. Like, the guy's got all love for us. You know, he says he's still got a house in Arizona, loves it there. Was giving praise, saying how Buddha and JC still inspire him and stuff. And yeah, it was nice to see. Maybe it's a pipe dream, but Kliff will never be a head coach collegiately or NFL and have it, like, it'll never work out. I do like the guy as a person. Like I've told you guys before, I've met him, talked to him for about 5 minutes. Super, super nice guy. Probably the worst head coach though that's ever held like a professional gig, honestly. But yeah, it'll be nice.
Yeah, that's kind of harsh. I'm not gonna lie.
Dude, I'm telling you, I seriously,
harsh, man.
Dude, I know, and I honestly stand by it. Like, it was,
oh,
dude,
man.
I can count the amount of times that he, like, just mismanaged the clock, challenged stupid things, didn't call timeouts when he should have, threw up 50-50 balls on 4th and inches. Like, dude, I'm like shotgun on 4th and inches. Like, he was a terrible, terrible head coach. But he is a good guy, and obviously he's got the boys in Washington buzzing. They look good. I'm honestly, like, I would be so happy, obviously, if we did kill them, but I don't think that's going to happen. If Jared Goff can scramble for 15 yards on you to seal a game, I'm a little bit nervous at what Jaden Daniels can do to you. So, and obviously we saw what Allen did to us, and Daniels is twitchier, faster. So I think, I don't know, they better have a really good plan in place as far as spying him with an athlete. Better not be Xavier Thomas, better not be Dennis Gardeck, because those guys were on skates last week.
Mac Wilson or Owen Popo.
Yeah. Yeah. Seriously. I mean, dude, I think Mac is like one of the best athletes on our team, to be honest with you.
I will say when we played Auburn 2 years ago, I'm pretty sure Owen was on that team. Jaden did not have a good game. I don't know what they ran against him. I don't remember. I was at that game. I don't know what they ran against him, but that was probably his worst game at LSU. Still won, but I'm pretty sure. I mean, as much of an athlete Owen is, he probably was used in that game plan a lot.
Yeah. I had to check my ears to make sure Jake said what he actually said again.
Dude, maybe it's just the emotion that was me to that, honestly. But it was a good presser that he had. I don't know if you saw it, Corey, but it was some nice sentiment there from Kliffard.
Yeah, I mean, we're paying him who knows how many $1 million. I'm pretty sure he has everything nice to say about that right now.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that, bro. That is a very valid point. that is rich.
The one thing that I will always kind of like hang my hat on when it comes to Kliff is, like, 2018 was the worst football season I've ever experienced in my entire life. I don't ever want to experience anything like that ever again. Between Sam Bradford to start the season, between I forget who our OC was, but he was garbage. I think he got fired after like week 3 or 4. And Steve Wilkes.
Who was that? That was the dude from
It's some dude from the Chargers.
Chargers,
Yeah,
right? Yeah, that's what
yeah,
he
some dude from
said.
the Chargers. But like that
Not Ken.
season was so bad, and so I always appreciate kind of what Cliff did in terms of like between him and Kyler, like they kind of brought some excitement back to the desert. And I mean, he did take us to a playoff appearance, even though like it wasn't a good appearance. He took us there. So I mean, you know, I give him that. But I will say the last thing I will say about Cliff, as much as I love him, he don't got a good record in the desert. It ain't good at all.
That's true.
And I don't think that's gonna change. I don't think that's gonna change. So
yeah, you're talking about Mike McCoy. Mike McCoy was fired after about how many games? 4 games, 3 games, something like that.
Mike McCoy.
So yeah, so
yes, him.
Hey, do you guys remember who the OC was before McCoy? I don't think anyone would get this.
2017 before Bruce, Byron Leftwich, right? Or at least.
Oh, dude, actually, yeah, that's right. It says it was Harold Goodwin.
Oh, I have no idea what the fuck that is.
Dude, I thought
he was a wide receiver coach, right? I thought he was the wide receiver coach.
Yeah, this can't be right.
I thought BA was. Yeah, I thought BA was grooming Leftwich as a coordinator his last couple of years that he was there. So
yeah,
he was, because they retained him, and then when Mike got fired, they were like, "All right, come on, do your thing again." Yeah.
So Todd Haley for a year.
Yeah, it's been a fun ride with coordinators at this desert. So Drew
Petzing, Todd Haley was a Super Bowl year actually.
Yeah, so Drew Petzing, I hope you have a chance to make your mark as a solid coordinator of this team, because it's been an up and down roller coaster so far in the careers of coordinators with this team. So
mostly,
yeah, exactly. So overall for this game, like we said, I think we're all in agreement once again that we're gonna win this game. It's one of those weeks that you have to win to make the playoffs. As we mentioned, this was a game that we were all circling as a victory for this team. After 3 weeks, now we're thinking that this definitely should be a win for this football team. I'm even happier that the Commanders won, because at some point they may come in just slightly lapse, like slightly. Things might just go slightly awry for them. They might come in too high. That's a very young team, still learning how to carry the ebbs and flows of highs and lows. So like, you take advantage of that. Like I would love for this team to get a nice little jump to the game. And again, something very interesting that I was waiting to see, that I was going to share with you all, to our podcast, our listeners of the chat. What I'm showing right now on the screen for the viewers and my co-host is a QB chart that shows finding the open man in 2024 based off of the first 3 weeks of the season. That it takes scrambles out of the exclusion. So literally, without Kyler moving or anywhere, or Kyler not running out of the pocket or anything like that, there's a chart that is showing so far that he and Justin Fields are at the bottom left of the X and Y axis in terms of average receiver separation and the percentage of throws to open receivers. So we're literally we have negative separation when it comes to our receivers, and I'm pretty sure that includes the tight end. Not 1,000% sure on that, but pretty sure that includes the tight end. So I'm looking at a chart that I don't like to see. I'm looking at a chart that is not healthy football. It's not positive play calling. I don't know what it may be, because again, we know Marvin's releases off the line were something that we were sold as his calling card. We were sold that his physicality, his size, and his nimbleness while running generated his openness in terms of that. Michael Wilson, stud receiver in terms of off the line, his get off, all of that, his route running is crisp. So I'm confused on why, and then as well as Greg Dortch, he had all these next gen stats of separation, and that he was one of the most separated receivers, one of the most open receivers while he's running routes, XYZ. And I'm not seeing that on this chart. Based off this chart is showing me that people are playing sticky coverage on the Cardinals, whether that be zone or man, and our receivers are not getting off, and Kyler's having to throw Hail Mary balls to guys at certain points. And when you watch the tape, it kind of does look like that at times. Outside of the Rams game, there were a lot of 50-50 balls, Hail Mary balls, gimme balls, that tight coverage was still there, but Kyler's fitting it into a nice little window and able to get the catch. So, fellas, I want to know from you all, do you believe this is receivers need to work more to get open? Is this play calling designed for route trees? Like, what do you think encapsulates or consumes this chart that I'm looking at, where Kyler Murray and Justin Fields are in the same category of open receivers, and we know Pittsburgh has literally one receiver that's good. We believe that we have at least 4 receivers that are good. So, very questionable chart to look at right now.
Yeah, it's a
Go
tough.
ahead, Jake.
All right, thanks. Yeah, it's a tough chart to look at. It doesn't surprise me a ton. I do think that we've seen a lot of zone, which clearly has been working against us. But I think it seems a little skewed. Like you said, Corey, maybe actually I would assume it probably is factoring in the tight end because at that point they're by like definition a receiver of the ball. Yeah, I mean that's awful to see, and that would go to show or kind of go to prove why we're 1-2 and not 2-1 or 3-0 at this point. Kyler, he can be as accurate as he wants to be, but if guys aren't getting like legitimately open, that's what's going to lead to him throwing picks in the back of the end zone. Going to lead to a lot of balls thrown away. Unfortunately, it's going to lead to a lot of tipped balls that could then turn into turnovers as well. So, yeah, I mean, one thing I will say on that is Greg Dortch he's probably the best separator on the team at this point. He's tiny, right? Like the guys they're going to key in on, I mean, when healthy, Trey, Marv, and Mike Wilson has proven that he's a solid number 2 in this league. Like last week he showed, like the guy takes hits, he gets open, he makes good catches. So you got to start scheming for Greg Dortch to be like that guy that's just like the fourth target that just gets wide open.
Yep. Agreed.
You saw it last year. Like give that guy the ball with even like a few yards of space, and he's going to make stuff happen. So yeah, if I'm Petsing, I'm looking at ways to get Dortch more involved because obviously he hasn't really done anything this year. He's got 92 total all-purpose yards, if I remember correctly, on the season. So most of that came from one game. So yeah, I think I would key in on like getting Dortch open, especially like I don't know, DM this to Petsing. You know what I mean? Like, dude, look at this chart.
Literally, yeah.
This is no good. So, but
I'm about to email him actually.
I do think a lot of it comes down to the scheme. Like they do say like they want to be this like run heavy team, which didn't work at all last week, and then they completely went away from it. And honestly, in like Kliff fashion, like you have a game plan and it doesn't work a few times, so you completely go away from it. And then at that point too, like from a defensive standpoint, when you see a team, okay, we know that they're going to try to run on us, so we do an excellent job at stuffing the box and stopping the run. And then all of a sudden, the Cardinals just abandon the game plan. It becomes really easy for a team like Detroit to just say, okay, we're just going to sit in like intermediate to deep zones and just make this guy throw contested balls. And that clearly worked. Like they totally stifled us on offense, and hats off to them because I'm not who is the Lions DC? I can't remember.
Aaron Glenn.
Okay, yeah, because he clearly outpaced Petsing. Like that was a winner or loss, Petsing versus Glenn. That was an obvious loss by Petsing. So yeah, all I gotta say there.
Shout to me, shout. This chart is crazy.
3 words: bulletin board material.
Okay.
For Petsing, for the receivers, for everybody. I feel like outside of the Rams game, and again, like I said earlier, like the Rams game, man, the Rams are not good. Like I don't even really look at that game and take away too much because we got up so early on them that honestly, outside of the first half, nothing else mattered in the game. But against Buffalo and against Detroit, I don't feel like we really stretched the field enough to even really put pressure on DBs to where it's like, oh, okay, yeah, we feel like we're gonna get beat over the top or something like that. Like they're sitting in zone, they're sitting on everything. Like, and then we're out there, we do have the number 4 pick in the draft, but the number 4 pick in the draft for the 2 games out of the year hasn't really looked 2 out of the 3 games hasn't really looked like that generational talent that everybody dubbed him to be. So it's like you have Marv still looking like a rookie. We're running 13 personnel. We got 2 tight ends. I mean, we got 3 tight ends out there. One of them's really a blocker, but every now and then he's out there running routes. Like, I feel like it's a combination of, receivers not getting open. And then it's also a combination of Drew Petzing and his play calling. Like
Yeah.
I feel like we need to be running more plays, or at least running more routes that stretch the field vertically to get more guys open.
Yep.
That's just kind of how I feel. Like I don't know if we have a true deep threat on the team. Like obviously, like Marv can be a deep threat, but we're not
That's a
going to
good
put him
point.
in that role all the time.
Yeah.
But if it's not Greg Dortch, who is it?
Yeah.
Right.
Good point.
So like, and I look at that Pittsburgh team with Justin Fields. They don't got a deep threat either. They got Arthur Smith as their head coach, and we know he loves tight ends. So like, I mean, the correlation between them two kind of add up to me, but I feel like we have way too much talent at the receiver position and the tight end position for that to be the case. Like, we got two guys at tight end and Trey McBride and Elijah Higgins who are, in my opinion, mismatches at the tight end position. Like Elijah Higgins is a wide receiver in a tight end body.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he played wide receiver in college. That's what he is. We just got too much talent for that to be the case, man. Like I'm showing that to the team. I'm showing that in the receiver room. I'm showing that to Pets, and I'm just like, bro, this is unacceptable. And it's not helping Kyler out. It's not helping nobody out.
Yeah, this is like you mentioned, like the good point that you mentioned was the 13 personnel, and I can see why like maybe your average receiver separation is low because some of those tight ends aren't even getting open to begin with because they're one tight end, so they're getting DBs against them and stuff like that at times. But at the same time, when you're running this 12, 13 personnel and you're only putting 2 routes on the field, if one guy like that was Kyler's pick, right? Kyler should have thrown the over route to Michael Wilson that was coming across the field, but they had a nice quick hike going, and then he threw it up. But again, Marvin's there, but it's only 2 routes on the field technically out there because there's just a flat route, like a slip, little leak route that was out there as well. So there's only 2 routes on the field. Like I don't think that's enough to stretch a defense that's going to continuously play you in too high and stuff like that, especially because they stayed in too high most of the game and just played some type of man defense most of the time, at least from what I saw, because their front 4 and front 7 were able to stuff the run. So it's like you have to, as you meant to me, I need to see more through our receiver sets. I need to see more creativity. I don't know if you all can count. Like, do you all think that we've thrown the screen yet this entire year? And I know people hated Kliff throwing the screen, but at the same time, I don't think I've seen a single screen thrown this entire year. Like to me, like
you have to give to the tight end.
Yeah, you have to give your or the running back. So it's like you have to give your quarterback layup throws to let these guys that we believe are playmakers make a play. Go out there and do what you got to do to make a play. So like just overall, Petzing, like we got to figure something out. Like I like the run style offense, but it has to be able to generate explosive at the same time. It can't just be, oh well, we caught him and we have 3 tight ends on the field. We caught him with just 4 DBs, and you know, Mike and Marvin Harrison makes a play, gets open, and that's how we get that explosive. Like, no, I want to see some more. Just open up the offense just a little bit. Like your quarterback is from a spread style system his career. I get that you're trying to groom him into a more proper player in terms of NFL standards and an NFL pro style system. That's great. I like seeing implementing that, but keep what we know for him to be some of his best quality, which is opening up the passing game. You have too many good weapons, in my opinion, as you mentioned, with Higgins being a converted receiver from tight end to tight end. Trey McBride, we know, is a monster tight end in terms of receiving. Marvin, who is one of the guys, regardless of however he looks. And I saw he popped up on an injury report with a quad, so maybe he's been dealing with that, which is why he looks the way he's looking right now at the same time. But Michael Wilson is healthy right now. Greg Dortch had a little hammy, so maybe that's why he wasn't getting as many chances this last week. But we know these guys to be weapons, and then we get Zay Jones back whenever he's out of that suspension. So maybe he can make a difference in terms of what we do in terms of separations, because he's a bigger body receiver. He's a more veteran receiver in NFL, so maybe he can make a difference with that. But we just want to see, more fluid offense. We like the offense in Buffalo week 1. Kyler's taking what he has to. You're running the ball well. Obviously, the entire Rams game, and even that first drive of the game versus the Lions, that's the proper way that we can run offense. Like we can make plays in the passing game, but the bread and butter is the run game. So we want to see stuff like that more consistently.
Corey, you bring up a good point too when you're talking about the screens. Like,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, like, I know a lot of people, they look at Cliff and they're like, oh, yeah, he's a screen merchant or whatever. But, like, if
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to be running routes and stuff like that down the field, stretching the field vertically that way, you can throw the ball horizontally to get the defense to play up on that and then, you know what I'm saying, hit some deep shots. Like, that could be another way to get the defense to play up. And you're right, we
Mm-hmm.
haven't seen any wide receiver screens. Like, I would love to see just like some quick passes to Dortch, who I feel like is probably the best playmaker with the ball in his hands from the receiving group. Like,
Yep.
I'd love to see some quick passes to him, get him out in space, and just go.
Yeah.
But yeah, we haven't seen that. We haven't seen that.
Oh well. Jake, go ahead.
Is the graph still up? I can't honestly see you guys.
Yeah,
Yeah, still up. Yeah.
Oh, my bad.
Mm-hmm.
I got a little sidetracked. Sorry, what were you saying?
No, I was saying, did you have anything else to add in terms of that?
As far as stuff to add, I don't know, man. I've been anxious to get this game going since I watched the conclusion on Monday night. Commanders,
Mm-hmm.
they look good. Seems like they kind of have the screen game working too. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, man. I don't know. I'm excited. I'm a little bit anxious. I know we can win. But yeah, I would just like to see the offense come out and put up like 400 plus yards, honestly. And
Yeah.
I need to see Kyler throw for 250 plus, to be honest, because that lingering around that 200 number is just not going to do it for me.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got a lot of expectations on him at this point. Like I saw today, Orlovsky has him as a top 5 QB in the league this year.
Crazy.
And RG3 has him as like the number 2 or 3 in the MVP race right now. So
that's insane.
That is crazy. But when he's locked in, we know he can be that. And
Right.
it's like, yo, we can't fail this man. Like, that's what I'm saying. If I'm the receiver coach, I'm like, yo, we can't be doing this for Kyler. Like, we got a top 5 quarterback right now, or he's playing like a top 5 quarterback right now. We need to be making his job as easy as possible. Like,
Agree.
like
I agree.
Help him to help you.
Yeah.
Help him to help you. Yeah.
So this will be a very interesting game coming up before we leave it out. Let's put it on a good note. Let's leave it on a good notion. Here is another chart, because I'm a chart nerd. Kyler Murray versus disguise coverage. Again, a lot is made about Kyler Murray doesn't study, doesn't do this, doesn't do that. But he is seeing about league average in terms of disguise coverage, and he's excelling while dissecting that disguise coverage with a very, very positive top of the league EPA versus disguise coverage. So, he does think you want to promote Kyler, but clearly he's doing his homework enough to notice where to go with the ball. So I don't know if that's a Drew Petzing thing. I don't know if that's a Izzy Wilfork thing or if that's a Kyler thing, but positivity to end the stream will be good. And you can see Kyler looking pretty good in that versus teams that are trying to confuse him a little bit. So
that's awesome to see, man. I do feel like too, he was getting a lot of shit for a long time. And like in Cliff's offense, he like really wasn't like changing plays at the line like ever. It was pretty much Cliff's giving him the call. He's relaying it in the huddle, and that's what they're running. I've noticed this year he's tapping guys in the back, going up, like yelling stuff out to players and communicating with the O-line, and it's great to see. I made the prediction this past offseason. All these people like coming at Kyler and everything. I said his first 4 years in the NFL, he wasn't developed as an NFL quarterback under Cliff's system and tutelage. Whereas now with a real head coach and a true offensive coordinator that can simply focus on developing the franchise quarterback, you're seeing a guy that's back to MVP level of play, and he's learning the game more. He's smarter with the ball. I mean, outside of the one pick, which he even did say in his presser following the game, or I think it was like the day after, he was like, had no blemishes on the resume until that. So you know that he's always been a guy that's like a 20 touchdown, 10 interception type of ratio. And clearly he's looking to change that and just be efficient with the ball. So I think things are really trending in the right direction. Additionally, Jordan Love on that is ridiculous. The guys played like 20 snaps.
So it's minimum that clip that right there is just showing. Go ahead.
No, I was also about to say, seeing Joe Burrow clump with Jacoby Brissett and Caleb Williams kind of makes me cry a little bit.
Are you
Yeah,
a
I
Burrow
mean,
guy?
Yeah,
Oh,
definitely a Burrow
LSU.
guy.
My bad. Dude, for
Yes,
some reason
sir.
I've never been I just feel like he was so overrated, and there's just always so many excuses for him, and I feel like it's the exact opposite for Kyler. So I've always just like had it in for him because of that. But no, that's my
yeah.
bad. I should have put the LSU thing together there.
Yeah,
Nah,
it's
you
not a great
good.
it's not a great EPA, to me they're barely this chart is showing that they're barely like they're just keeping a plain picture to him, and he's not when he does get this guy's coverage, it's not positive. So Jordan Love is Philly just must have did a lot of up and down stuff when he played in that one game. So we'll see how this chart develops as the season goes on. That's the great thing about these charts. It's only 3 weeks in, so there is enough data for some charts, but we'll see what it comes down to full season and what those things look like. So overall, I mean, we all are giving ourselves a W on the week this week. I think the score I wanted to see this week was around 31-20. I'm pretty sure, Commanders make plays here and there, but I do think this Arizona Cardinals team is better, just on paper overall, and just coaching wise, and where they are in terms of their reconstructions of their football teams. I think we're a little bit maybe a year or two ahead of them. And again, this is about a revenge. We all know here on this podcast that I was at the game last year with Commanders versus Cardinals. It was a great atmosphere down there in DC. Cardinals were in that game. Cardinals should have won that game with a quarterback that only played 2 weeks. And obviously they have a different coaching staff this year, and they made changes as well over there. But the Cardinals were in that game until they weren't, because the new quarterback just ended up losing the ball. But with Kyler back there, I have all faith in them, especially against Washington. I think the last time he played Washington at home is when he had that crazy little two-step to the sideline. He was killing Troy Apke that game. Good Lord. Troy Apke was just finding himself in the dirt that game most of the time. So as I'm looking to my left, I'm watching CD take a ball into the end zone for a touchdown on a long play. So personally, I'm jumping for
Need
joy right
that.
now.
Need
You all
Need
don't see
that.
that. You all don't
Need
see
that.
that, but I'm jumping for joy right now. CD Lamb is on my fantasy team, so this is a great day for me so far. I'm loving what I just looked at over side. But we're gonna get back to this game over here. We're gonna watch it. What do you guys have for score predictions for this game before we head out for the day?
Shad, why don't you jump?
Score prediction. I don't know. I agree with you, Cordy, bro. We need at least 30, bro.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they're gonna put up some points. I'm not gonna lie. They probably put up like 17. So I'll say probably 35-17.
Mm-hmm.
Damn. I'm gonna say 45.
Oh shit.
45 to I'm gonna say 45 to 27.
Okay.
I feel like we're
That's
just
great.
dude. If we're able to put up 40 on the Rams, I think we can definitely put up 40 on this Commanders team. I think the
Okay.
Bengals just blow. I think they have a terrible defense. It's a decent offense. Hasn't been super efficient. And I feel like they just let the Commanders stay on the field for way too long. But I've said it for the last 3 weeks, and I'll say it again. I think the Cardinals' defense is way better than expected, and I think Rawls and JG together have just taken a team that, the media general consensus was it was 32 out of 32 in terms of raw talent, and they have this defense playing at like a middle of the pack, like upper middle of the pack level.
Yep.
Nah, it's playing above that, honestly.
It is.
I feel like it's playing above that.
No, it totally is. Like we're getting to the quarterback, we're making plays, we're causing turnovers, and you just have guys like they this whole system of like rotating guys in on the D line like is paying off. Like how many different players have sacks this year? Like it's honestly great to see. You're not going to have like a Myles Garrett, with like 18 sacks in the year, but if you have like 8 guys that each have like a few sacks, like that's fine. You know what I mean? So, yeah, hopefully we can just keep Daniels at bay and we can just pump these guys out of the water, honestly, and have a great interaction between the players and Kliff afterward that we can all be happy about coming off a dub. So, yeah.
Side note based off of before we head out. I was in a commander space earlier today, and just I get we're not a popular team and stuff like that, but just the things that people don't understand about this football team is pretty beyond me. And again, maybe that's stuff like that for a bunch of other teams and stuff like that, but like just the things I was hearing. Obviously, it's a fan space, so they're excited about what they saw on Monday and believe what they can come into it. But we've seen it. That's a young football team, and I don't understand why they don't understand that, but it's a very young football team, and it's a lot of highs and lows that come with winning and losing. Consistency throughout an NFL season. I mean, their wins came against a Bengals defense who couldn't do anything because last time I checked, the Commanders gave up 31 points, 33 points, something like that. So it wasn't like they didn't. The Bengal or the Commander defense had a great showing, and then their other win came against the Giants when I believe they just kicked nothing but field goals and won that game. So this is a better test for them. Obviously, they went to Tampa Bay. They didn't fare well until about that fourth quarter offensively for them. I think they won a game or lost a game 26-14 or something like that. But this will be a better test for them because maybe they believe that they're on the punching level as us, like how we kind of felt like we were on the punching level with Detroit. So if we're where we think that we are, we should have pretty good success in this game coming up this on Sunday. So 45-27. That's I mean shit. I wouldn't mind that. But at the end of the day, as we all three always want, it could be 3-0 as long as the Cardinals are in the win column. We will have a good Sunday and we will enjoy our week and on to San Francisco. So let's go Cardinals. Let's get this win. We need one. Let's just finish off the home slate 2-1. Had some success there. 2-2 after their first 4 weeks is a massive W. A lot of people had it 1-3 with this game being the one that you could win. So let's go out, let's handle business, do what we should do at the home. It shouldn't be that badly of a away crowd coming to the game. So Red Sea should be in full effect, and you make a couple plays here and there, get that crowd going. Should be easy pickings throughout the game. So I'm excited for it, and hopefully we are walking out with a W. Shout out to you two both as well. This is our 25th episode here on Cardinalytics. So going strong. Couldn't do it any without you guys. So I appreciate you both, and keep this going for the rest of the season. So
yes, sir.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. I was going to highlight too. Shad had a little exchange with an ex user this week. I forget who he was, but quoted one of your tweets, Corey, and I think Shad and I both thought that he was like coming at you. So Shad jumped into the fence. I weighed in a little bit, and he ended up saying like he was giving you love, and he was giving the podcast love. So yeah, I just wanted to reiterate that too. This guy Corey is a special podcaster. Always believe that. Always has a good flow in this pod, and appreciate you guys as well. Shad, a lot of love to you too. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and excited to just keep it going. So it's a hell of a time with you guys.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir, man. Hey, hashtag Corey knows ball.
Yeah.
Hey, when we went on Sunday, I'm gonna spam it the whole entire time, man. You know what we talking about. So appreciate you boys, and we will see you guys on the one next week, man.
Sounds
all right,
good.
y'all. Y'all be safe.
Catch
you
you guys.
too.